What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. Please go ahead and click the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content. Really appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to talk about the price action in the indices. We're going to go through some of my trades for the day. Today was such a wild day, so we're going to go through the entire thing from top to bottom. Let's jump right into it. Before we do that, quick first disclaimer: nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades or anyone's trades for that matter. All right, let's dive in. Okay, S&P 500 box scores for today. SPY up 0.15%, Nasdaq QQQ up 0.48%, IWM small caps are a big loser, down 1.2%, and the Dow Jones was down 0.18%. So let's be honest, team. Today was a crazy day. The S&P 500, this is day 1, 2, and I guess, this would have been day 3 of the sell-off, but we actually had a green candle. We had every reason to slip into the abyss today, team. We were below the 20-day simple moving average. We dipped all the way inside this monthly value area overnight. We came so close to tagging that 50-day simple moving average, but dip buyers came in and auctioned us higher. If you look at, last time we tagged this 50-day, we actually undercut it, whereas today we couldn't get all the way there. So could that mean there's a tag of the 50-day coming up in the near future? That could certainly be the case, but I would say this is close enough, for the most part. All right, let's jump into our lower time frames. So I think that's where you could see a lot of the story. So this is where we cascaded. We original cascade just below this weekly value area low. We bounced back. Then we had the real cascade where everything fell apart. And then this morning, the dip buyers came right in. You can see this really big green candle on high volume. And yeah, I think that's the story of the day. The dip was bought on high volume, and there were a few scares where it looked like we were going to slip into the abyss. I'm not going to lie. Let's check out our 5-minute chart. When the market gets really fast, I will go all the way down to the 5-minute chart. So check this out. So our dip buyers come in, whatever. We have this afternoon, or this little morning dip. The first hour of trading was crazy. We just blasted off to the upside. I closed out of all my shorts in the first 15 minutes of trading, which was great. I came into today's session essentially perfectly positioned. I had a couple of shorts on and then a few longs that I was already green on and had, some profit cushion. So I came into today's session like, all right, let's do this. I can be aggressive. Let's get it done. And I ended up buying, a bunch of things pretty much right off the open. We had a really nice first hour or so. And then we had this dip. I was kind of expecting this one, whatever. Then we just rip higher. We're having a crazy session. Everything looks awesome. And then right around lunchtime, I actually went to the gym, which was actually a big mistake. When the VIX is over 20 and I have risk on, I should not leave like that in the middle of the day. Typically around lunch, it's not really a big problem, especially when the VIX is a bit lower. We had 1 o'clock. That was when the floodgates opened. We broke below this 20-period moving average, and we cascaded lower. And check this out. It looked like all was lost right around, this 2:30 time frame. Dip buyers came in on high volume and saved us. And then, even, right into the close, another dip of those dip buyers once again on high volume. Look at this, came in and saved us. So definitely a very ambiguous day. Did we reclaim the 20-day moving average? No, we didn't. Sellers came in, and there definitely were some active sellers that every time the market would bounce, they were coming in and offloading some. But overall, I would have to say this was a win for the market bulls. And it's always so funny because the market, right up here, nobody thinks the market can go down. Then here, it's like disbelief, disbelief. Then down here, it's like, no, there's no way that was the bottom. Like, no way. But yeah, this to me, I think this was definitely a slight victory for the bulls. We'll have to see in the coming days, though. All right, real quick, let's jump into our Nasdaq. Nasdaq looks very similar. This one actually, got even closer to tagging the 50-day. opened above this point of control. We actually closed above the point of control, but we found resistance at this monthly value area high. Not too shabby either. You know, again, I think all these indices had every reason to slip into the abyss, but they somehow managed to stay afloat. That being said, you know, the Russell did not stay afloat. The Russell is now trading below the 200-day simple moving average for the first time in about a year. It did not close on the lows, but not the best close. You know, the Russell is very weak. And then we have our Dow Jones. This one put in essentially a doji candle, undercut the 50-day simple moving average. All things being considered, though, yeah, I would say this is pretty neutral. Not really a win for the bulls or the bears. Maybe a slight win for the bulls, just because we got back above the 50-day and above this point of control. But we'll have to see. I think, you know, we're not like out of the woods yet. We're still below the 20-day moving average on pretty much all of these. So, you know, crazy volatility spike. Let's check out the VIX. The VIX. Yeah, to me, this looks like it could end up being a topping candle when we look back. Because look at this trend that the VIX is in. We're making lower highs and lower lows. So I think this could be a topping candle. All right, let's jump over to our market breadth. Let's check this out. Okay, so market breadth. It was negative. I will say that we did build on breadth throughout the session. When we opened up, it was like 10% advances in the S&P 500. We did not close on the highs, but we closed closer to the highs than we did the lows. So negative breadth in all three of these indices. Nasdaq was the best with 64% advancers. All right, Finvuz Heat Map. Another reason why I think this is a slight victory for the bulls was because there were some pockets of strength in the market. And again, you know, a very mixed day, but Microsoft, for instance, nice and positive. I traded some Microsoft calls today, got these pretty much right off the open. Traded some Nvidia calls as well. Nvidia was a nice bright spot, and Netflix. So it's going to be very tough to take down this market, like down for the count, if we have Microsoft, Netflix, and Nvidia all showing strength. Anything is possible, though. So that brings us over here. So in terms of some of my trades, so yeah, Microsoft, you know, basically this morning I was having a great sequence in the morning. You know, yesterday was one of my best trading days in a long time. Today, I would say could have, if I had done a few things differently, this would have been like, oh my God, like another like perfect day. I would not say this was like a perfect day, but I would say overall it went very smoothly. So I closed out. I had two SPY put options on. I closed out. I had August 20th puts that I bought like before we broke down yesterday. Closed those out on the open at 932 for almost a 100% winner. Closes out for 352. I paid 180, and then a couple minutes later, 936, I closed out my September puts for 952. I'd paid 650, so almost like a 50% winner. So right off the bat, it was like boom, boom. I'm closing these out. I don't want to be short because I saw like the dip was just being bought, you know, with this crazy fervor. It was nuts. And so I was like, okay, the dip's being bought. I have all this cash to spend. Let's do it. So I ended up shorting vol via some UVXY puts. I got long my Microsoft calls. Let's go for November, and SE for November. I wanted to give myself some time on these just in case, you know, the volatility remains. I don't want to get like crushed on like some weekly calls or something, you know, stupid like that. You know, with Microsoft, we talked about this in our Pristine Capital pre-market webinar, and shout out to everyone that's in the trading community. So far, the community, I love the way it is turning out. I gotta say, like, I genuinely like everyone in our community. I think it's, you know, it's progressing very nicely. Yeah, we had our pre-market webinar. We talked about a couple names. So let me pull these up. Microsoft. Yeah, so Microsoft was one where in the morning, you know, we were saying, hey, you know, Microsoft, it looks good. Like, even though the market's been very weak, it's only pulling back to the 20-day simple moving average. So I had this little index card, and I had this one like written out in the morning with like a couple names on it. Because especially when the market's really volatile, it's nice to just like write a couple tickers down. That way you're not like going crazy chasing everything. Yeah, so I bought Microsoft and it was maybe up like 0.1%. and they announced that they were raising the price on their Microsoft Office subscriptions. So that's basically going to equate to, you know, higher revenue for Microsoft. Of course, they're going to lose some subscribers, which comes with the territory. But I'm sure their corporate finance team has projected it all out, where, you know, they might lose a few subscribers, but for the most part, you know, they're going to keep people on. It's going to lead to a higher revenue. So that's a very positive development. And Microsoft closed at a new all-time high. So that's, you know, it's beautiful. Love to see it. And then, so we had that. Now let's go over to, yeah, so we had Nvidia that was very strong. Netflix was also very strong. Check this out. So I did not trade Netflix today, but this one, you know, whoever did, you know, probably was a great trade. So Netflix up 4.18%. Check this out. I think the weekly chart looks interesting. We've been at a base for, you know, about a year now, a little over a year. So who knows? Maybe this one, you know, makes a break to the upside. The other reason why I think this was a slight win for the bulls was because the cryptocurrency markets confirmed this strength today. So over the past couple days when the market was getting very weak, crypto was confirming that weakness. Crypto is basically like the most speculative asset class out there. So I tend to use it as like a confirming indicator, where it's like, okay, if the most speculative asset market is up on the day, you know, it can't be that risk off, can it? And we see these are ripping to the upside. I actually added to my Bitcoin as well, added to GBTC right off this 20-day, looking really good so far. And I also added back my Ethereum. So, you know, I have my full allocation in Ethereum again. This one also, you know, nice move off the 20-day. All right, so we have those. Yes, so the crypto confirmed this strength. And let's look at our sectors, because the sectors definitely tell an interesting picture. This is showing that, you know, we have medical devices that did very well, healthcare, utilities also did well, consumer staples, technology. Those are more risk-off areas of the market. And then some of these more risk-on areas like cannabis, Chinese equities, SPACs, biotech, even the ARK Innovation Fund, they were all down on the session. Energy was down as well. So in terms of what was showing the relative strength, it still is those defensive areas of the market. So that's definitely something that has me like, okay, maybe we're not out of the woods yet, because it's not like people are really allocating to risk-on areas of the market. In terms of our style factors, we have the defensives doing very well, min vol doing very well, growth and quality. So again, not the most aggressive areas of the market. I would say that, you know, the growth is pretty aggressive. But yeah, then the weak areas, you know, high beta was very weak, cyclicals crushed, international value was crushed, international momentum. So yeah, some of those, you know, really taking it on the chin. Let's look at, you know, some more of my trades. I had a ton of trading volume, so I'm not going to go into all these in detail, but we can go through some of the highlights. So yeah, I told you I got long Microsoft calls. That worked out very well. SE, I had closed these calls out yesterday for a nice little winner because I thought the market, hey, looked very turbulent. SE is another name that had just closed at a new all-time high. So it closed up 0.79%. If the market actually gets strong, you know, what's SE going to do? Maybe it goes to even new highs. Maybe it goes to 340. Who knows? That's really what I'm playing for. But yeah, SE looks really good. I traded, yeah, so I got long those. I traded this UVXY. I essentially shorted vol by buying puts on that. I closed those out, you know, for a nice little winner intraday. Closed those out for 517. I paid 485, and then closed out the second half for 497. I had paid 485. I got long Unity. I got long the small caps for a little scalp. I will say though, if I had not gone to the gym, today probably could have been like an absolutely like legendary day again. But I went to the gym, and when I came back, it was like everything had pulled back. I was like, whoa, what just happened? If I had gotten back 30 minutes earlier, I probably would have been able to manage, you know, even better. But that's okay. It's like my IWM, I closed out for 377. I'd paid 385 for that. So it's not really that bad in the grand scheme. Scalped some SPY puts for a small winner. And I had here, like, at one point in the morning, I was so in the zone that I was like trading the smallest little scalps. I took like a 9-cent scalp in the SPY, and I just put here, I am a degenerate, because I was just like, just complete flow state, just going. And then for some common stock trades, I took Datadog, I took Juniper, I took Bitcoin in the morning, I took my Ethereum back. And then when things started to look a little bit more turbulent, I did close out my Datadog for 134.69. I had paid 134.89. So that was maybe like a 0.1% loser, something like that. And then I closed out my Juniper for 28.99. I had paid 29 bucks. Juniper still looks good though. Juniper is like looking real good. Check this out. So this is another one. Look at the volume that's been coming in the past 2 days. Think about how turbulent the market has been the past couple days. And Juniper is essentially unchanged, looking great. So Juniper is a name I took it off because I didn't know if the market was going to result to the up or downside. But I like this one. I'm going to keep it on my watch list. Yeah, so those are some of my trades for today. Let's go through. I think this is important. Let's touch on this. And I think this is another reason why this day was a slight win for the bulls. This CBOE, they put out the option statistics every day, like put to call ratios intraday. And when we look at this, we can see that the put to call ratio is well above a 1 for most of the day. So that tells me, hey, there was definitely fear on the market, a lot of put buying. The more and more everyone buys puts, at a certain point, once everyone is hedged on their portfolio, it's tough to get much more downside. So that to me is like, another slight edge to the market bulls. Let's take a look before we wrap up. We'll go to our options race. Let's take a look at which security was our big winner. How about nice? Nvidia looking good. You got Amazon, Tesla. Wow, so SPY was the leader. So everybody was like, I'm playing the index. And they went for it. That's pretty cool. That is our options race for today. That about does it for this market recap video. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Really appreciate you. And I will see you all tomorrow.